I've started recording, but it doesn't officially start yet. It's just if I don't click it as soon as you get on, I forget, and I don't want to forget. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Around the World on Touchscreen. Today we are talking with Chile. Well, that's how we call it over here. Is it Chile or I
Chile.
might be just Chile? Okay, sweet. I'm just going to say it the best I can. But Chile Touch Football. Thanks for joining at a very early hour for you guys. It's a very nice, pleasant surprise to get an interview at a reasonable time for me. So thank you very much for that.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem.
Big fans of your work, really.
Thank you. So who wants to go first and tell us a bit about who you are and what you do with Chile? How'd you get involved in touch? Tell us a bit about you.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Maida?
Okay. So my name is Magdalena. Maybe they told you I was called Maida, but I've noticed it's a little bit difficult for people to say Maida. It's easier Magdalena. So go ahead with Magdalena.
Magdalena.
Yeah. So I played touch since I think it's 2008. I was in school last year of school, and they invited me to play in a team, which played one of Nico's brothers. I think two of them played already, but not in that team. Just the eldest of the brothers, which was also a classmate of mine. So, and also Nico's mother played in that team. So they invited me to that team and I started playing there. And Nico's mother is also the president of the Federation of Touch Chile. So she's so enthusiastic that she said once in 2012 or 11, I don't know, that how about we go to the next World Cup? And we were just a bunch of people playing touch, and so she started all this project, and here we are. We're going to play our third World Cup. So yeah, mainly I'm here just because Nico's mother is very motivated and she did all this, and we're still here playing touch, which is an awesome sport, by the way.
She's obviously done a good job then. It's just amazing. It's like, Nico's mum got me into touch, and then we decided to go to the World Cup. It's a bit of a jump.
Yeah. Like, why not?
Why not?
It was just like it sounds. Like it was, I think like 30 really people played touch seriously at that time, and we were like, "What? Can we do this? Yeah, we can do it." And out of nowhere, everybody started like being super elite about training and stuff and learning.
So what team? Magdalena? What team are you playing in?
It's called Griffins, and right now we actually play with Nico, with Andres, which is Nico's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Jimena, which is Nico's mother, isn't playing right now because she has some issues in her ankle or something like that. Yeah. And well, the elder brother of Nico is right now living outside of Chile, so he's not playing. He's living in England, but he also playing the same team.
Okay, so sorry, what about World Cup? What World Cup are you playing? Women's or are you playing mixed?
I'm playing senior mixed, and Nico is playing mixed open.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So
I can introduce myself now.
Yeah, go. Okay.
So I'm Nicolás Aydiguian. People call me Nico for short. I'm the captain of the mixed open, and I'm also like assistant coaching the mixed open and the mixed seniors, because we're training together, and I'm carrying out the trainings, but our actual coach is John Singh from Australia. I think you probably know him.
Sorry, who was that?
John Singh.
John Singh.
Singy.
No? I'm about to see if I know his face. Do you know whereabouts in Australia he's from?
No, I think he might be living in Gold Coast.
I have 45 mutual friends with John Singh.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
coached
yeah.
a bunch of teams.
Yep.
Yeah. So see, obviously he can't be here all the time. He came here about 2 weeks, but the rest I'm carrying coaching duties. And yeah, I got into touch a little bit later. I played football before this, but in 2014 I started playing on the league that is like a recreational league, so nothing too serious. But obviously my mom and my two brothers played in the World Cup, which are elder brothers, and I came to watch, so I wouldn't stay at home while everybody else is having fun. And after I watched just the sport played at a high level, obviously makes you want to do things better, but also like the commitment our team, which was a really small team, really small federation of players, obviously, like we don't really get touch as other nations get in Europe or Australia, obviously. I wanted to be a part of it, so after that I joined like training sessions, and I got to represent Chile in the World Cup 2019. We had a great result, or a great run. We came in 7th in the mixed open. So
Wow, that's really good.
yeah,
Quarterfinals.
yeah. So we're looking to improve. Hopefully, get to semis. It's gonna be super tough. I mean, we know there's two teams we can't beat, and we won't beat, but we'll try to be perfect and not get to them until the semis.
Never say never. Never say who
Yeah.
are the two teams you're referring to that you don't think you'll beat?
Who do you think?
Australia and New Zealand.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure the Philippines thought that when they came over and played against New Zealand in the Tres Tasman, and guess what? They beat them in the mixed 20s. It was a massive upset. So anything can happen.
I watched the game. It was a great game.
Oh, I didn't
Super
get to see
tight.
it live, but it just everyone heard about it, so we all just went home and watched the replay. Because it was played on a weekend, we were all out doing our own sport. So, but yeah, I watched the replay, and it would have been amazing to be there, and it was great. It was great for the sport.
Which was the result?
It was
like 8-7 on
8-7.
drop-off.
Yeah, it was 1 point. It was a
Okay.
very exciting game. And it wasn't when I heard about it, I immediately thought of, oh, New Zealand mustn't have sent their full squad or something like that. And then I watched it. I'm like, no, New Zealand didn't play bad. Philippines just pulled that performance out of somewhere, and they just played really well. It was amazing. And
And they made like some tactical choices that like they were pulling back on to the 7 instead of pressuring. It was strange, but they played really well.
Yeah, they did a good. And like I said, great for the sport. So you're playing so mixed open. I got the drawers up now. So it's funny because like me being involved with China, Magdalena, you said you're playing senior mixed. Our Chinese side play our senior mixed side play against your side.
Yes.
Yep.
But you're not coaching them, right?
No, I
Or
spent 3 times. I've done 3 trips over to China. The first trip, I spent time with both teams. The second trip, Peter Walters, famous Mr. Touch, he did a program basically with the senior mix, just sort of, and anyone else who wanted to come along. So there was about 30 people there. And then the third trip, they actually had their coach for the first time come over there, who's one of my friends that's actually been on the channel a couple of times on podcasts like this, Mitch. So we were actually talking about who he was going to play, and he actually said, I think he said it's something about Chile, and he's like, he just couldn't he didn't think that touch would be a big sport over there because of like I imagine football, or we call it soccer, would be just an extremely dominant sport, like you're right near Brazil, Argentina, and we didn't think that there'd be any touch football over there. So we were actually really happy to see Chile. And now I've just found out I didn't actually know that years went so well in 2019. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And a lot of, I mean, in 2019, we brought 2 teams. mixed seniors and mixed open, and a lot of players from the open. I don't know if a lot, but a few, like Magda, which was one of our best girls from the open, is now on the mixed seniors, which is a side with a lot of experience, but also like a lot of speed and talent. So it's gonna be. They didn't fare too well last World Cup, but now I think they're looking really, really good. I mean, they're playing against us, and it's like nothing. It's like it's an open thing. So we really, I'm not gonna say we're expecting big things, but we really have a lot of faith on what they're gonna do.
Oh, that's good. And you spend so like training wise, do you have are most of your players sort of from the same area, or are you only allowed to, are you only able to train sort of once a month, or is it weekly? How does the training work?
I
We
think,
have go. Mike.
yeah. We only play touch in Santiago, which is the capital of Chile.
That's
At least the people.
the only city I know in Chile is Santiago.
Well,
Never heard of it.
I'm
I've
glad
never
you
heard of any of the other ones.
I'm glad you know Santiago. Have you been here? Or
No, I
you just
haven't.
know?
No. I just know that from just because it's a popular name.
Yeah. So we only
Oh,
play here.
sorry, I lie.
There's people.
San Fernando. I've heard of in a movie before. There you
That's really weird.
go. Continue.
Really random.
Just ones that sound like human names, like ones that sound like people's
Mhm.
names. I tend to remember. Don't ask me
It's
why.
probably
Sorry.
Santiago because Santiago has half our population. So
Mm. Sorry, I won't interrupt you
Um,
again. Keep going.
yeah, no, it's okay. So we only play here. There's people that have lived or were born like outside of Santiago, but people mainly come here just to work or study, or and they stay here. So the league that Nico was talking about, which is a recreational league, is here too. So everyone plays here. They play the league here, and then trainings happen here too. And we train together with Nico coaching us. They're mixed teams on Mondays and then Saturdays or Sundays, depending on it depends. And we also play the league on Wednesdays. So we get to train at least this last time or the last for the 5 last months. We've been training like two days a week.
Wow,
yeah,
So it's good for us because we can train together a lot, but it's not so good that we only have people from Santiago playing because it's like a small pool of people playing touch.
yeah, okay. Do you have like any of like countries nearby that have touch football as well that you can go and play? Like I don't know if Argentina is sending any teams. I haven't seen them, but sorry, I'm just looking around.
you won't find anything.
No, there's nothing. Yeah,
No,
okay.
we're the only ones in South America. Argentina tried to build touch. They around like early 2010s, they were really like getting some steam, some people playing. We went back and forth from Argentina. They came to Chile and they were having like really high level teams. But I think after there's always like one person when you're developing sports that is like the motor and the soul of the sport. And if that person starts doing something else, it usually dies out. For us, it's our mom, and she hasn't, I won't say die out yet, but she's still going strong. And for them, the person that did it kind of stepped away. I'm not quite sure why. So they stopped, and now they're starting back up again with like master sites or like senior sites.
Yep.
And we played with them this year. They came to Santiago. We did like a little tournament, but it's like starting from scratch for them. So there's a couple players returning, but they're learning. But I think their experience was really good. They came like, wow, we want to be like you. We want to build this thing up. We want to have like a partnership. So hopefully they keep going. They keep going strong, and we can develop touch in the region because nobody else does it. They started doing in there was one person that started in Brazil and then stopped, obviously. That's all we know. And then there's the US that we used to play a lot. We went maybe once a year to play nationals there. but now like it's still like a pretty far trip. So money wise, they were kind of prioritizing the World Cup, and
Yeah, and there's not really much around when you rule out all of South America.
yeah,
It's probably just as close to go to New Zealand as it is to some parts of the United States.
probably yeah, or South
So
Africa. I don't
are
know.
you are you hoping to like is there hopes that touch football might expand outside of Santiago? Are you looking at is there anyone sort of that's in any of the World Cup teams that might be able to help, I don't know, spread the sport at all, or is it still a work in progress?
Not like concrete plans, I guess, but it's definitely part of the agenda. Like eventually, it's not
Mm,
only a touch problem getting out of Santiago. It's like a nationwide problem in every sport and every area of the because everybody stays here. Every it has gotten a bit better, and eventually, obviously, for now the priority is World Cup and getting ready for it in the last 2 years. But I'd love to, me personally, go live elsewhere and develop touch. But I think the more pressing issue is getting more people to play anywhere because right now
yeah.
we're like 200 people, so
Hmm.
it doesn't matter where.
Is rugby a big sport in Chile, or
No,
is it just
it,
all football?
it's it's getting bigger, but it's like a really small sport for the elite. We went to the World Cup now, which it was a
Last year.
first, yeah,
Okay.
last year. So it did gain a lot of traction from that. People are obviously watching more rugby than before. We have a group of guys just like us, I guess, that have been playing for a lot of time, and they're putting. I mean, the government is putting a bit more money to rugby, but you really can't compare it with anything. Argentina is
Mm.
big in rugby, and it's day and night. Like we really can't compete. They're not professional. We have one professional team, and they're obviously underpaid, I guess. So still ways to go. And I'm not gonna say we're in the right track. We definitely need to keep growing the sport, whichever it is. If we grow rugby, we're definitely gonna be growing touch. So
Yeah, absolutely. And normally there's a little bit of a connection there because like rugby is not a 12-month sport. There's time off. So you might
Mm.
play in one half of the year and that's how it works where we are. Touch football is normally it's our summer sport, whereas
yeah.
rugby or anything tackle is the winter sport. That's just sort of how it works here. Because it's just too hot to play tackle sport in our summer. Um, I'm guessing actually being in South America to get quite warm over in Chile. Am I
Yeah.
right there? Summers would be pretty warm. It's something
It is, but I
it's just
think it
something
isn't
I don't
that
think
that
about.
bad.
It's not that bad.
No, no.
I
Don't
I
play
think
in
think it's
summer gets
worse.
pretty bad.
you don't play in snow or anything. I can't imagine it. Does it snow over there?
No,
No.
No snow. Okay.
rarely.
It's
Yeah,
just something that
we
I'm
get
complete. When I
yeah.
started talking to people, I was completely oblivious to actually what the conditions were like weather-wise. I was talking to Sweden, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we only play touch about 3 months of the year." And I was like, "Oh, is that because of other sport?" And they're like, "Oh no, it's because of the 3 feet of snow that's covering the grounds." And I was like, "Oh, that's right, you're in
Yeah.
Sweden. I completely forgot."
No, we have climate similar to. I'm not gonna say Australia because it's a big country, but here in Santiago, I guess it's like I'd have to check the map, but it's like I don't know, Sydney or maybe a bit
Hmm.
up north.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
like really pleasant weather. We are getting like a cold winter now, so it's tough to train, but nothing extreme. So it's like between 5 and 15 degrees on winter, and then summer, if it gets really hot, should be like around 30 something
Yeah, it's
degrees
just
Celsius.
similar to us. Pretty similar to
Yeah.
us. Just maybe a little bit colder. All right. So Magdalena, sorry, tell me if I'm saying your name wrong because I don't want to do that. I'm
It's
looking at
okay.
your pool. You're in pool B. Um, have you studied the draw much at all? Have you had a decent look at it? Because I always ask about is there a game that you're really looking forward to playing, or like a team that you're looking forward to versing, or even just meeting?
We've watched some matches from the Euros last year, like for some of the European countries.
Mhm.
Because sometimes, I don't know, I played before in the mixed open, so you have an idea of a team, but then you see them playing with the mixed senior, and it's actually it's different people, different ways to play, and they're pretty different. I don't know what playing. We've also played Germany, I think, in 2015 in Australia's World Cup. And right now I've seen they're playing amazing. So it's really difficult to like what to expect from them. But from what we've seen, they're pretty good. We're trying to see how they defend, how they attack, if they got like long passes and stuff. And we don't have a coach for the World Cup, and so we're trying to see like, yeah, you're a coach, but you're playing, so.
Well,
But
I imagine, Nico, you'll be, if like there's no clash, like if you're free, you'll probably go and help out the senior mix.
I'll be there. I'll be nonstop.
He'll be there. You're good. You're sweet.
What we're trying
Probably
to do is
limping or something, but I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be with an ice
he's not
pack
gonna have
and
so much time. So we're trying to see like how are we getting to people go and, I don't know, watch them play when we're playing, because we're playing at the same times. Like
Really?
when we
No,
play
I just
another one. Sorry?
you mean teams on your pool?
Yeah, the same teams on our pool play at the same time as we do. So we're gonna do that.
But the good thing about that is they're thinking we can't watch Chile because they're on at the same time as us as well.
That's a good thing too.
Are you not excited to play New Zealand? Because you're playing them second.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know, not that much. Maybe I'm just excited of playing Cook Islands because I've heard they're pretty good.
Based in Australia, Cook Islands.
And that's new. So we've played New Zealand in 2015, and that was, I don't know how to describe it.
And it's something you'll never forget.
Yes.
Just like the conditions in Australia, we really turned it on for the World Cup that week.
Yeah, you made it exciting.
I was because I live
round of touch
where the World Cup was in Australia. I'm about a 4-hour south drive, and me and a couple of friends, we were going to come up and watch a day or two of the World Cup, but it was just torrential rain, and it just wouldn't go away. And I remember thinking, like, if this is one every 4 years, it's just so unfortunate that it just happened like that. So you went from pouring rain in probably cold rain in 2015 to 50 degrees Celsius in 2019.
Scorching heat.
I was going to say, tell me about that. I know it gets warm in Chile if you're comparing it to Sydney, but that is just insane.
No,
like we have a heat policy and a cold policy, but our heat policy is 38. Like once it gets to 38, we stop.
But I don't think it got higher than that. It's just like the I don't know how you call it, but the heat sensation was higher than that because of the humidity, I guess. But I don't know. I don't really remember it being too tough. I mean, as soon as we got out of the tent, like with the AC, our shirts started like they got soaking wet. So it was just part of it. Like we dipped on the pool and then we were good to go and we played. But I don't know. I don't remember having like a bad experience with it. Obviously, it was tough, but I feel like when you're going to represent your country and you've been working so hard so long, you really don't care about the conditions. You're just happy to play, happy to compete. I'm talking like about my experience. Maybe some people suffered with the wet balls and wet clothes and everything was heavy. Legs were heavy, hard to breathe.
Talking to like countries that have just come from like really cold areas, and then they go and experience Malaysia. It was probably a bit of bit more of extreme jump for them. Conditions wise, you're probably a little bit more climatized to some hot weather, so that was probably good for you. It wasn't as uncomfortable.
Yeah, but the humidity we have a really dry climate here, so it was definitely different. But I think we had the right mindset. We were like, just let's go out there and play or do our thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. So senior mixed again, Magdalena. Are you excited to play China? So I'll be there watching that one.
Yes, of course, of course. Can you say something about them? How are they playing?
Yeah, they're doing really good. So we had a tournament in March at Hong Kong, and I hope they're not going to get angry for me saying this, but they weren't very good. They didn't play very good. They had a lot of players that were sort of learning from rugby backgrounds, other sporting backgrounds, a couple of football players. First time that they'd really played together, and the structure wise, we had one of my friends who lives in Sydney. He came over and he's playing with them, so he was kind of trying to coach them, but he was also playing. So he was trying to. It was very hard for him.
Is this the first senior mixed for China in a World Cup?
I think so.
I
think they had a
yeah?
40s men's previously. And we were trying to get 3 teams. There was almost enough for a 40s men's, but it was very difficult for a lot of them to get visas approved to go to England. So we've actually, like in my team, we've lost 3 players just because of denied visas, which is a shame because they're very good players and it's a bit of a once in a lifetime opportunity that they can't get. But the senior mix, the next time that they got together, which was the last time I was over at the start of the month, they picked up 2 players from Australia who are experienced players. They're not like it's not like picking up a Dylan Hennessy or something like that, but it gave them okay, so this group of players had each pod, we call it, had an experienced player. So they looked so much better.
That's great.
Yeah, so they look like a touch football team now. That's all I can tell you. Because I just have no idea what any other team will be like except for New Zealand.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find that there are a lot of more touch football teams. I mean, people that are playing proper touch, and it's gonna be really competitive. There's not gonna be like easy nations or people that are learning. Might be a few, but I think sport has gone.
I'm really keen to see Fiji. I really hope Fiji have been able to send some of their better athletes over, because I know just like it's probably financially difficult for people in Fiji to travel that far for a not professional sport. But if they can get some help off their government, however it works, if they can, because there's a lot of potential over in Fiji.
I mean, just from sevens.
Oh yeah, just sevens.
Like
they come over to Australia. They're like, it's not even their best team, and they come over to Australia, and it's like they move that fast. They teleport, and so they go from there to there, and I blink, and it's like I didn't even see them move there. They just went there. They just got there somehow. They're just, I don't know. They're just specimens in Fiji. So, Nico, now I'm going to bring up the mixed open because which pool are you in? There's a lot of teams in mixed
pool
ovens,
D,
like
pool D.
20 pool
29.
D. Oh, there you go. You got Belgium, Canada, Chile, England, France, Jersey, who I'm talking to on Friday. Actually, I'm talking to Jersey, Middle East, and Switzerland. Any game you're looking forward to?
I think the obvious answer is going to be England and France because we think they might be the strongest teams. We've played both of them. With France, we drew last World Cup and we lost to England. Both games, we wanted to do things differently, but I'm trying not to think too much about the past. Obviously, things change, teams change, priorities change. Sometimes they put their best players on the men's, sometimes they don't. I'm not sure what their policies are, but I mean, off the top of my head, those are the 2 games that we really need to like settle down and do our jobs. And I don't know, I really love playing with every team, because I think every team has surprises. I played in Europe a few tournaments. I played against Belgian teams. I've seen Switzerland in the Euros. I think they've improved a lot. They have like a lot of young players too, a few experienced players. So I don't know, happy to test our skills out, see how we're doing. Jersey is our first rival, so we won't have any. We're lucky that we're gonna have footage of each rival we have the day before, so we're gonna have like a good idea. But Jersey, we're going in blind, so it's gonna be our first match. We have a lot of new players, so definitely excited about that. Hopefully, we don't crumble under pressure. I don't wanna wish badly on anybody, but hopefully they play worse than us, because I think it's gonna be pretty leveled, because they have only a mixed open team, I think, or maybe a couple of seniors. So yeah, I think those matches overall.
I might see if I can press them for information on Friday morning then.
Yeah,
because they're making
ask him who their best players are.
They're making me get up at 6 a.m. So
oh yeah,
they
grilling.
didn't help me out like you guys did. Anyone you haven't played before? I know you said you've played like a couple of World Cups now. Is there do you find yourself like the last two World Cups you keep playing the same teams, or is it different?
No, Canada. I don't know if they have played before. Did you talk to Canada?
I haven't spoke with Canada. I spoke with the US. That's probably the closest I've got to Canada. Canada would be, I guess, like Sweden. Like they wouldn't be able to train unless they're going indoors because of the amount of snow that they get and how cold it is. And it's just so funny when I'm following all these different nations. Basically, every time I edit this video, I always make sure I follow the social media, and I keep seeing the preparations, and like they're in and they're playing like in full trench coat jackets, beanies, and it's like, wow, I don't know how you do that. Like when it's negative such and such degrees Celsius, it's just insane. Like the conditions that people train. And then you look at Singapore and it's like always really hot.
Yeah.
And like when we were training in China, so we trained a day in China and it rained a little bit, but it was just so hot and humid that me and the senior mix coach, who it was his first time coming over, and I'd experienced that a couple of times. We just sat down after one day of training and just sat there for half an hour. We just couldn't get up. Like it sapped all of our energy out. So, and then I remember thinking, I was like, and I speak to people about the 2019 World Cup, and they would have had 5-6 days of playing in it, and all we did was coach.
Is there a language barrier there with China?
No, actually, they all can speak English. Probably the worst case is they might ask me to repeat something if I talk too fast or something like that, but that's very rare. And if I do talk, someone normally chimes in and says something as well. But when they get angry at each other, it's always in Chinese. Or when they get frustrated, everything's in Chinese. That's pretty funny. I don't know if they're trying to hide something from him.
Yeah. Our coach is Australian, and when we get angry, we're talking Spanish, and he's just like looking.
Oh, okay. So you guys, Spanish is your natural language, is it? Your first language?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that.
We're Spanish speakers.
There you go. You learned. I thought it might have been. I thought it was Portuguese, to be honest.
Rule of thumb: every country in South America is Spanish, except Brazil.
That's why I thought it was Portuguese, because Brazil I usually looks like the biggest one, and it just takes up the most space.
Yeah, but it's not the most representative.
Fair enough. So Spanish. Wow. Okay. So where's Spain?
Oh, sorry, that's also curious. An advantage for us. So we can say whatever we want to say at the World Cup.
That's true. That's true. And we have like our state championships, which are quite big tournaments. And Japan normally come over and play as preparation for the World Cup. Well, they usually do it most years anyway, but playing against Japan, everything is in Japanese except you'll hear dummy half. because they don't. I don't think they have a Japanese term for that because it's just a made up in the sport. So you can't understand, then you hear dummy half. And then you hear Japanese dummy half, Japanese dummy half.
Yeah, or scoop or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be something that's just spoken about in touch.
We do have some of that stuff, right? We use some English words for touch.
Most of our stuff. We're trying to get away from it to, have an advantage, but we talk about shotting, corner, scooping, quickies.
We just learned from you guys, so
yeah.
It's a bit.
We learn from touchscreen.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny, like because probably I know you guys have got John Singh, but most nations when they get a guest coach, it's normally a New Zealand coach. So I've found that a lot of around the world, they use New Zealand terminology. So when I'm coaching China, I've actually started to try and bring in the New Zealand terminology because it's just what they already know. And we actually have 3 people in our Chinese team that grew up in New Zealand. So that's been like do you guys do the number system? Like the middles are called 33s and then the links are 2s and 1s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which probably when
it's
John
a chance
come
to talk
over.
about how we got into like proper touch when I don't know if you went, Magda, but in 2012 we went to the US. I didn't, obviously. And Peter Walters saw us play. No, in 2013, Peter Walters saw us play. So we started learning terminology from him. He really took us in and started coaching us. Then there was another like Kiwi coach that went to Chile that was a friend of ours, Craig. So we were talking about 32s, 1, 2, 3, 33s. And then after the World Cup, Australia, I think, had like a regional development program. So they sent Carly Banks and they sent John Singh. So now we also have like Australian terminology. And we had a Spanish coach from Spain for the 2015 World Cup. So he had like his own terms, things like you've never heard before, like helmet, 4, 5, I don't know, like arroba, which is like the @ sign. That's a play, which is sweeper with a switch. Okay. Just we have a mix about our plays and our terminology.
We call that play a sweeper with a switch on it.
Yeah, probably. It's easier.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a difference between.
Sorry, Myla,
what didn't you know?
That I didn't even know there was a difference in language, like touch language between Australia and New Zealand. I thought it was just like how coaches name stuff. No, so we had a huge mess with everything.
In Australia, all of our moves are pretty consistent across the country with what they're called. It's really only juniors that might call it something different because kids like coming up with their own names. But yeah, so if we go to a tournament, we might be running a play and then the other team in the sub box will be yelling out what we're running. And it's the same, everything. Yeah, sweeper, Brewster, quarterback, anything. It's usually all the same, bar maybe 1 or 2 really innovative plays. But it's good when you go up to the next level and you're bringing teams together. They already sort of know. You don't have to be like, well, we call it this, and I know you guys call it this, but we're running it like this. And it just makes it a lot more seamless when you're progressing through the ranks. So when you get to playing for Australia, like they could have never played with each other before, but they could go in and play a game and be 7 out of 10 straight away, just because everyone's sort of on the same page. A little bit different in defence with New South Wales and Queensland, our 2 major states. They defend quite differently, but with the ball, it's all the same. And you can thank Carly Banks for that.
Yeah. What's the difference? Like some people are shutting down more, others chase down more.
So I'd say referencing one of my videos, channel defence is more of a New South Wales thing, whereas man on defence is more of a Queensland thing. So the examples that I used in man on defence are Queensland teams, and the examples from channel defence are all New South Wales games. Queensland are big on what's called getting active links. So links, difference, like I know you guys are playing mixed. It's very different in mixed, but in men's and women's, their links will come up really high. Whereas in New South Wales, our links stay quite deep and they come up after the touch, whereas they're up before the touch. So it's kind of backwards. It's kind of like the reverse. Both have good and bad. Me personally, I don't think one's better than the other. If you've got really fast players, if you've got really fast players, I'd defend like Queensland. If you've got sort of not so fast, more smart players, you probably defend like New South Wales, in my opinion.
One of our biggest issues, I mean, John really prioritizes defense. He thinks, I don't know, defense wins championships, which I agree. Like, it's a really good way to frustrate your opponents if they can't score like on 2 chances on the 7. So we really put a lot of thought on our policy. I'm not going to say what it is, but it was definitely one of the things that we really had to sit down and say, okay, make it simple, one, because you don't want people like trying to do too much. We just want to be on the same page. But hopefully that's what's going to make the difference, because I've studied so many videos thinking that I have like the solution. Obviously, we don't have it, but I got pretty close to something that would work most of the time. I don't know if you agree, Magda.
I do. I think Nico has done an amazing job. Like he said, he started late just because we're the same bunch of people play mostly all the time. And he started playing after we all started, and he's like escalated very, very
touch head
quickly.
That's what we call him.
He's the captain of the mixed open, and he's also the coach. Imagine. So no, yeah, he's done a really good job, and he's been an amazing coach for both teams. So I also have a lot of confidence on what he has taught us.
So do you have like, I know like technically what you're doing is coaching at the highest level, but do you have any aspirations on going to and doing some more coaching elsewhere, even just like guest appearances at tournaments and stuff like that? Because we have at our nationals and state champions, so I had one of the Chinese coaches tag along with me at our nationals this year. So he came and basically he was the manager, but he was just there to see how it worked in Australia. Do you have any aspirations on doing that in the years to come?
We'd love to. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people from Touch Australia. We spoke to Jamie, I think like 2018, about coming to Australia, also like playing, I don't know, playing in nationals, but playing against clubs there. Because I think our level as a team, as Chile, it's pretty similar to what Division 1 would be in Australia. I don't think it's too far off. Obviously, we would be like bottom tier probably because it's really high level. But money is always the issue because it's a really big trip, and everything we do here is funded by ourselves. We have a few sponsors, which we're very thankful, but the money is nothing. I mean, the bulk of the financial weight, we are carrying it personally. I'm lucky to have my mom supporting me, which I'm really grateful for, but everybody else, it's their own. We have jobs and we have to really prioritize what we're spending money. So in preparation for this World Cup, we really couldn't go anywhere because we had to fly to Europe and everything is super expensive now. And we're bringing 4 teams. I don't know if we mentioned this, but we have our 2 mixed divisions. We have men's 45 and men's 50s.
Oh, cool.
So pretty big delegation to represent Chile, and with that, a lot of money and logistic issues. So we really had to buckle down and think about this World Cup. But later, I'd love to go elsewhere. I mean, World Cup's going to be done. It's going to be done for a few years. And from there, we'd love to go to Australia and play. If we have traction, we hopefully, after the pandemic, we really kind of lost a lot of players. People started doing other stuff. And we had to build it back up from scratch basically. And now we got to a point where we had enough players, not as much as we wanted to. So after this, we really want to, one, start developing the sport again, prioritizing that and not us as a team, and then go to other places, because I think when we go out and play is when people really start liking touch and the competitive nature of it, the team building. So Australia is definitely up on our list, and hopefully we can really get a lot of support from you guys. I know you're always eager to develop the sport, but you have the same restrictions as we do. It's not easy to send coaches. You've done it a couple of times, and it helped a lot. But obviously, we need to. It's really underdeveloped in our region, not only in our country. So we want to do better.
Well, as far as getting you involved in our tournaments, and I believe in New Zealand, they have probably similar opportunities. It's actually quite that they make it as easy as possible to get international teams and players involved, whether it's playing or coaching or even refereeing. A lot of places like England brought some referees over last year, which was really cool. We had an English female refereeing my team that I was playing in, and I had no idea what she was just talking English slang that I'd never heard of before, but it was pretty funny. But we can actually, my club team at State Cup, at State Champs, we can have 5 international players. So each team are allowed up to 5 international players. So if you can't field a whole team to bring over, and just you have a selection few, you can go into what's called our player pool, which you just go into a pool of players, and teams can then say, hey, can I request these players? And then you're allocated teams. Normally they just go with whoever you want to play with, but it's just a formal way of doing it. But yeah, there's opportunities to come and play, definitely, or coach or do whatever, to be involved, whether it's a state, national, or a New Zealand national tournament. There's plenty of opportunities there. Excuse me.
Yeah, we might do the trip. I don't know. It's obviously a lot of money, but I know there's a lot of people like me that think it's worth it 100%. We're getting kind of old. I mean, my dad has a kid now, so it's harder. It's tougher than it was before.
Oh yeah.
Like touch was our priority. It is now for the World Cup, obviously, but after this, I know there's a lot of people that will go back to their lives. They still will support the sport, but they're not giving it their all as we might. And not only, I mean, I say that I do everything for the sport, but probably after the World Cup, I'm gonna take a break as well. And my mom, who is always carrying a big load, can't say that enough.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And I think I put up a post on social media recently about how it's people like that never get the recognition. Yeah, they just, unless someone actually tells you, hey, this person actually does all the behind the scenes stuff, you'll never know.
Yeah. I mean, we know, we appreciate her, but I think not everybody knows the amount of work that it really entails. It's a lot, and there's also a lot of work to be done. So after this, me personally, I want to commit to developing the sport and building up a good plan, because we've been not doing enough there. I think it's obviously hard. I think you guys, as Australia, the biggest difference is that you have it in schools, right? You play.
That was going to be my next thing, because you just mentioned Magdalena has a child.
Yes.
Well, is like there opportunities for kids to play touch football in Santiago?
No, I think we tried like was it after the first World Cup? And then we started doing some classes on Fridays. I think there were 2 players from the Mixed Open that started teaching touch rugby at our school. We went to the same school with Nico and with other players. And it actually, we had a player coming out from there that she's playing right now at the Mixed Open. But that was it. Just like there was
Yeah.
some classes on Friday afternoons, and then it's just that
And just sort of died out a little bit.
there isn't too much knowledge about the sport. Like, I don't know, you go to a doctor and he says like, how did you get this injury? And it's like, I was playing touch rugby. It's like, what? What is that? Is it rugby? And like, it isn't very known. But I think it started to getting a little bit more it's spreading a little bit more.
When I say I've said it a few times as well, like you look at the live stream, like I'm sure promoting touch football, touch rugby in Chile, if you had YouTube clips of, did you, like in the other World Cups, were you ever featured on the live stream?
Yeah, we have a few matches. Some that I really don't like watching back.
Well, hopefully,
Some that were good.
yeah, hopefully you can get a few more from this year's World Cup, and I just only assume that would really help with the marketing of the sport, saying, look, did you realize that just down the road is the heart of a sport where your team just participated in a World Cup? Like that happens in Australia. Like we have sports that I didn't even know were a thing. And then I've just found out that we've participated in World Cups, one of them being ultimate frisbee. I don't know if you've
Great
ever heard of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks so much fun.
Transferable skills. I'd love to play.
Played it at school. It kind of like field hockey, but just without hockey sticks. It's a frisbee. But like I didn't know it was a thing. And then someone I went to school with is representing Australia in ultimate frisbee, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's probably the feeling that some people have in countries like yours with touch rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to get there was last year was a Pan American, like Pan Am 2023, the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Pan American Games. Yeah.
Yep.
And we try to get touch rugby into it. But we couldn't make it, and I think that would have been a really good marketing place.
Or anything to do with America. That's why I kind of secretly hope the US have a quite successful tournament, because I think once a sport breaks into the United States, that's just good for everywhere. Like they're just so dominant across sport. So if it becomes a popular sport in the US, I think that just filters across everywhere. Just seems to naturally happen like that.
Hopefully not too well in the mixed division.
Are you playing US?
Not in our pool games, but we might.
Oh no, we are.
You are?
I hope they go terrible. Yeah, we're playing Australia. That'll be fun. Australia, Ireland, Italy. We've got a really hard pool.
Will you overthink your game against Australia, like trying to talk tactics, or are you just gonna play your game?
I'm gonna talk. I've been talking trash. I haven't been talking tactics. I've been giving it to him. Like I've got friends.
This guy has no left to right pass.
Yeah, no, he's awful. He's a dud. I've been messaging him saying China's gonna smash you. No, it's been good. They're really keen to play China as well, so it'll be really good. And like I mentioned it before about how you seem to play the same team. China have always come up against New Zealand. They've never actually played Australia. And the mixed open have drew Australia, but the senior mixed also drew New Zealand again. But Australia, their senior mixed actually reached out because their coaches, I've actually coached with him, and he said, do you want to play an exhibition match? And I told the Chinese mixed 30s, and they just couldn't believe it. They finally get to play against Australia.
How did China do last World Cup in the mixed open?
13th they came. Yeah. So our goal is, well, yeah, the improvement is the main thing. But if I will consider, if we make the top 16, that's not a failure. That's a success. I look at our pool as a hard pool. Like
we played against them in 2015.
Oh yeah.
Against China.
One of our players is still in the mixed open team
Still?
from 2015. Yep, our captain. It's funny in China, you get given your like name, but then you choose your own English name. So when I refer to the players, that it's like Johnny and stuff that's normal to me because that's what they've chosen. But our captain, he chose his name as Dragon. That's what he chose.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like we got
I
Johnny,
think I would do the same.
we got
And he's
Andrew, we got
registered like
Lillian.
that
Yep,
under that name?
that's his legal English name is Dragon.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't want to meet him head on. I hope we avoid you in the elimination games.
Well,
If we get.
actually, if I got a feeling if we play each other in the elimination games, one of us or both of us would have had to do really well.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
if we're talking about our expectations, our coach made it really clear. He thinks we can go third. So, I mean, go for the medal, I guess.
yeah, well,
But we'll see.
John Singh has been coaching for like I knew his face as soon as I saw his face, and he's been coaching at a top level, like state of origin level, for 25 years. So, sometimes you can get a little bit sort of stale with your coaching, but I think being involved with internationally would probably G him up a little bit. He'd be really excited about coaching Chile. So no, that's a really good get if you've got John coaching you. Not a lot of teams have Australian coaches. There's a few with New Zealand coaches, but not many out there with Australian coaches.
Yeah, we've been lucky because last World Cup we also had an Australian coach, Pete Nadira. I don't know if you know it.
Oh, I don't know Pete. There's a George Nadira that I know.
I think he coached like Hornets Women's Open. Maybe I might be wrong, but
It would have been a while ago. Would have been a while ago. I know George was more of a rugby player. I think they might be. I've got a feeling that they're related because I have heard the name Pete Nadira. I've never met him though.
Yeah, and now he's coaching Lebanon. He left us.
Oh yeah.
We broke up.
Broke up? What did he just give him the sack?
Yeah.
Or did he just move on?
No, I mean we tried to continue with him doing like online sessions, but obviously talks like broke down when we knew that the pandemic was gonna last for a while. And then he's from Lebanon. He has like Lebanese heritage, so it made sense.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna do another bit of Facebook stalking.
Yeah.
Why will you do that? Is this your first time coaching an international team for a World Cup?
Yes, yeah. This is the first World Cup I've participated in.
Oh wow.
I have watched World Cups in the 90s when I was really little. My mum played for Australia. So I've been around touch footy my whole life, but I think around September last year, I just woke up to go to work and checked my phone, and I had an email that looked like spam, but it was from China Touch Football asking if I would like to be their head coach for their mixed open World Cup team.
Out of your videos,
That's how they contacted me. Yeah, it was through the email of the YouTube channel.
Nice.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and I know, and it was funny. They figured out who I was personally because a guy that was with our region Hornets, Mark Tipple. I don't know if you might have heard him. He gets around to a few nations and does some work, kind of like Peter Walters, probably not just to the extreme, but he they asked him if he knew me, and he said, "Yeah, I know him. He's a coach. He coaches as well." So they just asked me. It was kind of out of the blue, and so yeah,
How
that's
how long have you been working with coaching them?
My first trip to China was in December.
Okay.
So we basically had our state championships, and then the next weekend I was on a plane to China. And it's weird, like telling people I just went to China on the weekend.
Yeah.
You fly in on Friday and you fly out on Monday, so you're really only in China. Like I haven't done anything there. I've gone, landed, caught a subway, and you're standing like this for 2 hours on the subway. That's exactly what it's like. It's like the movies. Um, you do touch footy training, and then you might go out for a team dinner, um, and then you go back to the hotel, and then you're up next day for more touch training, and then the next day you're flying home. So there's not really any time to make it seem like a holiday. It's just
Yeah.
a training camp, um, surrounded by
How long is the
skyscrapers.
flight?
It's 8 hours, 8 hours, eight
Oh,
and a half hours or something. Yeah,
wow.
it's not the worst, but it's not the best flight. The flight to England, I think, is about 23 hours and broken into two flights. So not looking forward to that one.
Same for us,
Is it
I
a
think.
direct flight for you, or do you have to take multiple flights?
I'm taking
There,
multiple, but I know. Are you
there
taking
is a
direct?
direct. I am not, but there is a direct.
So the only direct from Australia for us is Perth, which is the other side
Yeah.
which would be a 4 hour flight for me to get from one side of the country to the other. Um, Whereas looking at Chile, it's not a very wide country. It's kind of a
Yeah.
very, very
And
narrow.
we're all flying out from the same place. Like the hub is Santiago.
Whereabouts are you stopping? Are you stopping in like,
Spain,
Madrid.
Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, Spain, Madrid.
oh, okay. Yep. So I'm actually ironically, I'm stopping in China. But no one's going to be there because they all leave the day before me. So I'm just going to just hang in China airport for about 6 hours.
Not really pleasant trips to China. I think you haven't really seen the country.
No, I haven't, but their food is really nice. I will give them that. Um, and actually no, I tell a lie. We played Hong Kong tournaments, and to get from like China to Hong Kong for visa wise, I can't take a train there. I have to take a ferry. So we took the ferry there, and we actually got to see the city at night lit up as we were taking the ferry. So that was really cool. Um, Taking a ferry to Hong Kong, that was awesome. Hong Kong, that's a do you play on synthetic grass at all?
Yes.
Really?
Not regularly, but the rugby federation has a pitch, like a brand new pitch, and it's synthetic.
Wow.
And
See,
if
until March, I had no idea how popular synthetic turf was internationally. Like that
if it
just
rains a lot, you really cannot have grass pitches because they get
so we played,
destroyed immediately.
yeah, and we played in a typhoon. Basically, it was a typhoon in Hong
Yeah.
Kong, and there was about an inch of water laying on top of the turf. So it just looked like one big puddle, but then the rain stopped, and 5 minutes, the water was
It
gone.
rains.
It was
Yeah.
just, it was amazing, and we didn't stop. Whereas we're experiencing a really wet winter at the moment in Australia, and a lot of our junior sport is getting washed out every week. Our touch football has actually been really lucky. Everywhere around us is getting washed out every week, but we've got really good drainage on our fields, and we've been playing. So,
It's the
um,
same for us. I mean, it rains one day and pitches are out of the question.
yeah,
Like they
wow.
won't lend to us. But when I was in Ireland, everything was synthetic, like good quality synthetic, because obviously
Mhm.
rugby is big there, and they need to have pitches available. And it was great. Like you
Yeah,
didn't get any friction burns because it was always like wet or like slippery. If you play in a synthetic field, like in a dry climate like ours, you would
would have
lose
no
half your
skin.
skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we went to Hong Kong, they were giving everyone some it was like compression cloth to put on your elbows and your knees just to
Oh
stop
yeah.
skin coming off. But everyone looked like roller skaters with like pads. You know, when they have the pads and you just see roller skaters and rollerbladers, everyone just looked
Yeah.
like that. It was just so funny.
I might
Um,
avoid them just because of the look. But Maida can tell you that I have the worst friction burns. She has a video of me trying to
Yes.
get like, tape out of a burn, and it's the funniest
oh,
thing. Yeah.
like you taped on a spot where you already
I
lost
had
your
to
skin?
I had to put on pants after the tournament, and I didn't want it because it was like this big, and I didn't want it to stick to my jeans. So somebody had the great idea, just like put some tape over it.
Oh,
Worst
Worst
idea
idea.
ever.
Yeah.
well, I'll never have
Should
that
have just
problem.
ditched the pants and went with
Yeah,
shorts or something.
I'll never have that problem because I'm actually allergic to tape. I haven't taped myself in 15 years. Go
Like,
figure.
what happens? You get like a rush or something?
Yeah, blisters, rash.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hurt my foot when I was about 15 and I taped it up. This was at touch football. And they said, leave it on overnight. And 3 hours later, I was like putting my finger inside the tape just because I was itchy. And I was like, it's really itchy. I need to take it off. And I couldn't, like, it was that bad that it was 2 weeks later before I could put a sock on and a shoe. Um,
Cool.
yeah. And so it was just the adhesive in the tape that I was allergic to. And it's actually, I've met a few people that are allergic to the same thing. So, like, if I wear a band-aid, it has to be only for a short period of time. But if I got like a cut or something in a game, instead of just putting a bit of tape over it, I'll have to like bandage it up so it looks like a really big injury.
Yeah.
So I look like I'm running around broken my arm, but I've just got this little
Yeah,
cut here that keeps
Small
bleeding.
cut.
a little boo boo.
Yeah, little boo boo. It makes me sound really weak. Thanks for that.
I mean, you are allergic to Scotch tape, basically. So
Well, it could be worse. Like
I'm not gonna say it's tough.
I've played with players that are allergic to grass and they just can't dive
Oh yeah.
at all. Yeah, they can't dive. Which is weird. Playing a grass sport, you're allergic to grass. Um, do you guys have any questions about touch football where I'm from, or do you get that enough from your Australian coach? So he probably tells you a few stories about how it's played over here, or he's more of a Queenslander?
I don't know, Maida. I think
I think
I
we
had to think,
know
but we
a
know
little
we
bit
know
of
touch because
Australia.
of Australia. Yeah.
I'd love to give
Yeah.
you I'd love to give you some inside information about some teams, but I really only know a small, tiny detail about France. I know England and France is going to be a big rivalry game in the mixed open, so I'm planning on watching that. And I know France have got one player that has got a highlight reel, but the teams you're versing,
Oh,
I
you
have
have to
no
tell me
idea
that.
about. I don't know how to spell his name. Mael. I don't know how to pronounce it. Mael, and I think it's Pin. I can send you a link. But the guy that I was talking about, Mark Tipple, he's got a YouTube channel. It's called Unleashed, but it's spelt weird. Anyway, he does the highlight reel of him, and he looks pretty zippy. He's pretty good.
Like quick or
Yeah,
like
quick,
everything.
got to
Quick
dive,
dive,
got to
long
putt. Yeah,
pass.
plays a fair bit in Australia. He comes and joins in on our national tournaments as
Oh, I
well.
think I've seen him. Is he like kind of tall, blonde haired? Yeah, no, or like
Probably
light brown.
if he's a French guy playing in Australia, it's definitely him.
No, because I saw like a vlog of a French guy playing mixed in Australia.
Oh, okay, it
I think
probably
it
is
might
him.
be him. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite players? Do you watch on like whether you've seen in person or on videos or anything like that? Is there anyone that if you were trying to show a friend, hey, check out Touch Football, do you show them a particular person or anyone you want to meet at the World Cup?
I think I
Gonna sound
just
yeah.
show your Instagram account, like Australian touch football account, to people. Like, what do you play? I play this. And it's just like elite people playing.
And do you have a favorite player? Do you know somebody from Australia? Maida?
Me? Oh,
No,
Like I know
yeah.
people
Magdalena.
like Dylan Hennessy and some of the girls, but I don't have like a favorite player and I don't follow them that much. I just like seeing the plays and the videos of some tries that you share. But I don't follow like anyone's particularly.
I watch a lot of Dylan Hennessy, obviously. I mean, he has a highlight video of around 1 million views, and it's
Yeah.
not
I think it's literally
It's not a
called
coincidence. Like
Dylan
he
Hennessy,
really,
the best player in the world. I think that's what it's called.
yeah, he's that good. I really love. I don't know, like you would think like he only has like the long pass, but he really just takes what you give to him, and
Mm.
that's how I try to play. Like you think like I'm not fast, I am fast. I just choose not to be in that situation. But I've seen him like step a couple people. Like I seen him scoop through and then throw the long pass. Like I
Yeah.
try to model my game, and he has like I don't know how old he is, but he really hasn't aged. I mean, his game has still been the same, and he's been playing for years. So
Yeah,
obviously,
and
him.
I always maintain that he's the best because when he came into opens, everyone had to change the way they defended. When it became six-a-side, because it used to be seven-a-side,
Yeah,
once six-a-side came, because it was like you could have three on this side, three on this side, that's where shutdown became really popular. So every time you'd pick up, the other side would shut down and you'd try to beat an offside player, but you'd just get shut down. So that's the way touch was looking. And then uh, Dylan was the first person that could pass that long pass, but fast. So everyone else that
yeah,
tried to pass the ball would go really high and it'd be in the air for a long time, and the winger could just chase. Whereas he would throw a bullet 4-on-3 to the wing, and he was the first person that did that. So he had so much success early with just that long pass because of the way people were defending. That's why I think he started just being Dylan Hennessy, the guy with the long ball, because he sort of was the first person to have that flat long ball that was
yeah.
it just went so fast. So that's when teams had to figure out, okay, we need to defend a little bit differently. That's where you sort of your channel and your man on, your eye defense sort of come from players like Dylan Hennessy. And then everyone started trying to.
But if you man on, then he steps to the short side and then darts
And
it the other way. So
seventh touch
pick your
have
poison.
a great video about New Zealand studied Dylan Hennessy and they tried the muddle defense. And I've just released the video to members about that specific defense. And it was just for Dylan Hennessy. And it meant he couldn't throw the long ball, but what he did was he would throw a late switch instead.
Yeah.
So it's like you make a chess move, but then he makes a better chess move all the time with Dylan. When he
And
was
also
younger,
he disguises everything really well. Like you think, oh, that's obviously a long ball, no short pass or
you know how
short
he does
pass
it?
or
He disguises it with his eyes.
yeah.
Yeah, you can disguise because if you, it's something that I was talking to the Chinese guys about. If you look someone in the eye, that displays confidence. If I'm looking like if I was doing this interview and I was just like this, it looks like I have no idea what I'm doing. So I said, even if you don't know what you're doing, just look them in the eye. It could be as simple as I'm running a quickie, but you just keep staring at them. Just keep staring at them. And they will then get intimidated because they're like, oh crap, he knows what he's doing, what's he going to do, or she, of course. But yeah, that's one big thing I've just told our team. I said every time you're setting up for something, don't look at each other, look at them, and don't break eye
Yeah.
contact.
And sometimes like dummying, it's not too much about like doing a lot of this. It's just maybe quick eye turn.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Well, if I dummy,
that's
I'm going
enough
to
to
look.
make people
Yeah,
go.
sell it with your eyes. That's right. And
Yeah.
and trust me, if you look at someone in the eye, they're going to look directly back at you, and then they don't see
Yeah.
anything else. It's just
I think they're
human that
just gonna feel
you can't
awkward.
help it. Yeah, it's like
They're gonna feel uncomfortable. What are you into me or something?
yeah, yeah, cool. But yeah, that's why I was saying I had the list of top 20 players. It was in the modern era, but yeah, Hennessy was an easy pick for number one there. Um, not
Did
many
he play
people
rugby before?
disagreed.
How did he get into touch?
So he actually grew up. Well, I don't know. He grew up, but he played rugby league, which is a variant of rugby union on the Central Coast, which is fairly close to where I live, and just wasn't a very good tackler. Very good with the ball, but he just didn't really have that physique to really dominate in rugby league. So he never played really at a high level in that, which is probably a good thing because you don't want someone like Dylan Hennessy getting rugby injuries all the time. Like, and we have actually in Australia, we've lost a lot of really good touch players to rugby or rugby league, because rugby league is such a now. You get picked up and signed as on a contract at 15 now, which is ridiculous. And once they sign you on a contract, they're like, no more touch football. We don't need any outside risk. So we have all these kids that love playing both sports, and all of a sudden they get good at rugby, and now they can't play touch because if they play touch, they don't get their contract, which is what they want. So it's tough.
Do you get people returning after their professional careers are over to touch?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Who's a good example?
Is Sean Johnson playing touch?
So Sean Johnson, guarantee he'll be back to touch, but we've got like at our state champs. I don't know if you've seen much of our rugby league, or like Steve Menzies, was one of our most famous rugby league players. Jamie Soward, Cliff Lyons, Rod Silver. We get a lot of players after they like Paul Gallen is probably a recently one. They all come and play touch football. We used to have
Do they
like
play like what division do they play in terms
like
of
men,
like open?
So Steve Menzies is
30s?
playing men's 40s.
Okay.
Cliff Lyons men's 50s. Jamie Soward senior mixed. He's playing mixed 30s. We used to have like NRL players. They used to be allowed to come and play state cup. So Benji Marshall was actually doing both for a period of time, and other players like him. Sean Johnson probably would have if he was Australian, but he was like living in New Zealand, so he probably played a lot over there. Like Kalen Ponga, Nico Hines, they all touch players as well that just can't play anymore because of rugby league. It's amazing though how popular Sean Johnson is in touch football based on one video. Like everyone,
Which one? The one
where he's just schooling those guys. Like he's just step, step, step. And it's just, there's nothing structured about it. He just snaps people's ankles. And it's amazing how big he is in the touch. Like I'm sure he's an amazing player, but that one video, he's not exactly playing against really good defenders.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find some footage of Sean Johnson playing at a good level, because I'm sure he, like the way he talks about touch football, you can tell he knows what he's doing, and he knows a lot about the game. So he would be able to play at a really high level. I just can't find any footage of it.
Yeah, but you just see like how it translates to the rugby league matches. Like he's really playing touch, but with tackles.
Yeah.
So the step, like the long pass, the runs that their teammates are making, he clearly like it takes it from that.
Yeah, we've got in our local competition, like Alex Langbridge he's played for Australia in touch football before, but he sort of more focuses on his rugby league now, because like even just at a semi-professional level, you can make good money playing rugby league. So that's probably why a lot of people focus on that. But he plays dummy half. So his passes are just so good. And it just means that he can go from here to 20 meters that way like that, because it's just one pass. And people's like, oh, geez, he can pass so well. And it's like, well, yeah, it's touch football. Like it's a huge skill. And if you drop the ball, you don't have the ball anymore, regardless of which way it drops. Like these touch football players, they don't drop the ball because they're just drilled in from an early age that it's you either catch it or it's the other team's ball. There's no second chance. And a lot of people actually say that that's something that they don't like about touch. It's just because it's harder. Like, I don't think that's a good enough excuse to tell me why you don't like a sport is because it's too hard.
Yeah, we get that a lot. Like people play because we have really high level teams, but not a lot of people playing. So when we try to get people into the league, they play against a high level team and they say this is impossible, and they get frustrated.
Yeah.
And they don't get the rules.
Do you have netball? Is netball a popular sport in Chile?
No.
Basketball?
But not that popular.
Not that popular?
But we do have a national team and everything.
Okay, well, so netball is kind of like basketball, but you can't dribble the ball.
Oh yeah, I've
And
seen some clips.
yeah, and
Ah,
I think that's a very, very hard sport to play. Um, but I still think it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just hate on a sport just because it's a little bit difficult. Like I think snooker is probably very difficult, but doesn't mean I hate it.
Yeah. And also people like compare it to rugby and say like, what is this? This is not rugby. No, it's not rugby.
No,
It's got
it's not
nothing to
rugby,
do with
but
it.
it well, like if you play like at the World Cup, if you're playing against Australia, New Zealand, England, it's physical. Like
No, yeah,
it's
it's really physical.
it's touch football, but it's push football, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Because people
And
say like, oh yeah, so it's like really, it's like softer, and I'm like, I'm hesitant to say softer because it's not really. It's different. It's like playing, I don't know, football. It's not really a soft sport because it's really physical and you really have to be on your toes. And
mm.
touches are hard. And
Does your coach do some like do they when he's over for training camps or whatever, does he do work about like physicality, sort of dominating touches and dominating play the balls and stuff, or is that sort of not
yeah, yeah, like
an
beat
important
him to the
thing?
bend.
Yeah, that's a very
That's what he
Australian
said.
term. Yeah. And that was actually brought, that term was popularized by our referees. That was actually a referee terminology on what they would and wouldn't penalize. So now coaches have sort of, well, unless it was the other way around, but yeah, referees started using that as a basis of what would be a penalty. So if you beat them to the bend, no
Yeah,
penalty. Whereas if they beat you to the bend and then you pushed them, then you'd be penalized.
right.
But yeah,
And
it's
do you
good.
get
I mean,
away with because if you're stood up and pushed, it usually looks really bad. Like it looks like a hard touch. Are they
yeah,
not
and
penalizing that?
well, so the mindset that when I coach a team, our mindset is we don't want penalties. When we're driving the ball, when we're subbing off, however, when we're getting from one end of the field to the other, we don't want anything stopping it. We want to be just constantly with flow. Even if we're getting a penalty, if it stops our flow, it's bad. So if you're getting a penalty for being pushed, be stronger. Don't get pushed.
Right.
That's our mindset. Um, So if you're stood up and you'll get pushed, yeah, it does look bad. But I'm like, well, just don't be
Get
stronger
stood
when
up.
you come in to play the ball. You don't have to shove or anything, but just brace yourself and play the ball properly, just however you can. So we do a lot of practice with our teams at club level, but just about we'll come up and say, don't be obviously silly, but we want you to try and push them off balance. And we're going to train on just being strong in the play the ball because we just don't want stoppages. Stoppages are bad
Yeah.
because
We
normally
had a
let
training
let's
session. Sorry.
no, you go.
Go ahead, go ahead. We had a training session and John was saying like, I want you to kill him, smash him.
Yeah,
Like really don't hold back. Let's see how they deal with it. Um, but I think mixed division is a bit softer. I mean,
yeah,
it can get
and
out
I
of
and
hand,
I
but
and I think it should be softer. I think there's a level with men's, like a line that you shouldn't cross with men's. There's a line you shouldn't cross with women's, and mixed is should be met in the middle. Um, I don't think it should be because I got penalized in mixed one time and they said you can't push a lady that hard. I was like, it should be the same for everyone.
yeah,
I was like, well, she can go play women's if she doesn't want to get pushed. And then because like we've seen guys absolutely get smashed by like a girl
yeah.
and
yeah.
they actually want to argue to the ref. And it's like, come on. But yeah, no, I don't think it definitely shouldn't be the threshold for pushing shouldn't be the same as men's and mix. Even if it's guy on guy, I think that there needs to be a little bit of a difference then, because otherwise you're just going to
Yeah.
be people are just going to get hurt.
Mm.
And it's part of the appeal of mixed open is I feel it's like a more open game, and so putting it really making it tough wouldn't be good for the sport, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It still
And
should be tough, but
we were talking about the Olympics and the possibility of touch being an Olympic sport. And we think because well, the people that I've spoken to about it, I originally didn't think this way, but now I've been convinced. If we were to have touch in the Olympics, it should be just mixed. Because not many sports that like I don't know of any other sports apart from now maybe swimming. There's a mixed
Is it
relay.
tennis?
Tennis might
Doubles?
have mixed
No?
doubles, but they don't really have anything where it's the main attraction of that sport is mixed. So mixed doubles is probably the fourth part as far as most interesting goes. You've got men's, women's, doubles, and then mixed doubles. Swimming, the mixed relay is one event.
Yeah.
Athletics, I think they have a mixed 4x400 meter, which is
I
again,
think,
it's
yeah,
one
I think
event.
that's reasonably new. Yeah.
But no
Which,
other sport
in my
really have.
opinion, they're like the most fun events. I mean, obviously not the most competitive or where you see the best athletes, I guess, but in terms of like excitement and seeing people compete, I think that mixed is definitely
Yeah.
uh,
You look
more
at
appealing.
the swimming mixed relay. This like you could have a substantial lead, like a 3 body length lead, but the team next to you have got 2 guys to swim. And according to statistics, they
Yeah.
swim a lot faster. So it's like, okay, you look like you're winning by a lot, but I have no idea who's actually going to win. And it just makes it more interesting. Whereas if you see a relay team, oh, okay, the USA are in front. They're going to be in front the whole way. It's over. Don't need to watch the
Way more
rest.
dynamic. It's more tactical too. And you also see like terrific women athletes that have to compete. So it really pushes the sport. I think if we're pushing for something, it should be mixed open in whatever competition.
And another point that was raised as well is that if you are only allowed to have one mixed open team, let's say Australia have 200 players that would be up to that quality, you're only allowed to pick 14.
Yeah.
Whereas
It's like the
somewhere
US
like
with basketball.
yeah, like somewhere like France might have 30 players that are up to that standard and they can pick 14. So the range of talent all of a sudden closes in. Let's say Chile have 14 players that are up to that standard, or you can pick 14.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now we're a lot more even because you can only pick that one division. So that would be really cool.
That would be cool. Like watching men's open competing with mixed open players. Because how is it? That's a good question, I think. How is it over there when picking your teams? Are there guys that really like playing mixed and only play mixed, or is it more like we prioritize men's and then women's and then mixed?
I'd say probably at a state level, you do have players that would prefer mixed. In the Australian mixed open team, there's only one guy that's probably a mixed player. The rest are all probably left over from the men's. But
Which
yeah,
one?
the captain. I can't remember his name, but it's the captain. He's been an out and out mixed player for a while now. Yeah, but as you go down, so like at our state champs, there's clubs there that they'll have a mixed team before they even worry about a men's or a women's, or they might have a senior mixed team before they worry about men's or women's 30s, just because they like playing mixed. It's completely different. Like a coach might prefer to coach mixed because there's a lot more tactics to it, as far as even things like if there's a boy link on a girl link, you've got a game plan, and if it's a match boy on boy, then you've got a completely different game plan. But yeah, once you get to that higher level, I think that it's a real push that they want their best players playing men's and women's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions about anything? It's actually gone pretty good time here. We might get a record.
Record? No.
I think Ireland's
More
got the
than with
record at the
Ireland.
moment.
Are you putting the whole thing, uploading the whole thing, or are you editing a bit?
I'll edit up until I go, hey guys, welcome to another video.
Right.
And then it's basically whatever happens, happens.
Raw footage.
Yeah. Raw footage, just the way to go. Otherwise, it'd just take too long. I don't have enough time. But if that's it, I might have to anything else? Anything else you want to ask me?
No, we're just looking forward to see you at the World Cup.
Yeah, you too. I'll definitely come and
See you there.
watch a game. I'll try and actually make sure I see the game against China and Nico, if I come and watch this against England, do you want me to watch if I was to make an effort to watch one of
Obviously,
your games,
yeah.
the England one?
You can be part of our box.
I'll come
Don't
in the
let them see
box.
you because I'm guessing you're saying the same things to England. So I don't know who you're rooting for.
I didn't speak to anyone from mixed in. Oh yes, I did actually.
Okay.
I did. I did speak
See?
to. He'll know me.
No, yeah,
No,
looking
but
forward to
with
see you, obviously.
yeah, England, we didn't really talk about any sort of team specific. It was just sort of their whole. We spoke about the facilities and the history of England touch. There wasn't really anything about specific teams. They wanted to talk about their goals as a nation and stuff like that. It was really good. It was different.
Great. No, yeah. So just wanted to thank you, obviously, for having us here. We're really grateful. We do whatever we can to make us known everywhere. So you're giving us a platform. Hopefully,
Not a
people
problem.
like what they see from us. Like if they want to contact us, they do. And also, thanks a lot for the work you do for Touch. Like as a sport, your videos really help a lot. Showing it to people, making them understand the game, and also for me coaching, it's a really good way to show people, which is much better than the alternative that is like watching games of Australia or something and say like, look, this is a latch, and I have to stop. Like what you do is really great. Hopefully you keep doing it. You don't wear down and
Oh,
stop.
it's just the ideas. If anyone's got ideas of what they want to see, it's just as long as there's ideas. The video itself is actually quite the easy thing to make. It's just coming up with,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I can make a video about that. Is
But I'm
what I
guessing
need
like
to.
finding the right clips is not that easy.
Finding defensive clips, that's the hard part. So I'll usually, if I've got nothing on in the background, I might just put a random touch video on that goes for 8 hours and I'll just have it on. And if I see something, I'll be like, that's a great idea. And then I think about where I've seen that before. And then I just
Yeah.
go in, and that's why there's probably a lot of like people from my region, they say, why do you keep putting up half the videos of Hornets? And it's like, that's because I always watch Hornets. That's my club. That's the games I'm interested in. So when I go, oh, where have I seen that play? It was in a Hornets game. So they're like, well, you need to stop giving away Hornet stuff. And I'm like, look, the channel has nothing to do with anyone. We're not affiliated with anything except the sport itself. So
Yeah, and we
sorry.
appreciate it all
No,
the
not
way
a problem.
from
No,
Chile. So
I appreciate
tell them that it's worth it.
you watching. Yeah, I will. There's more to life than just Australia. It's Australia's touch football. But no, it's really actually exciting when I got your email and you said you were from Chile. It's a place
Different
that
climate.
you just don't hear a lot about Chile in Australia. Like, and the first thing I said is I said to my wife, and I was like, oh, I mean, did you know? And the one thing I knew about Chile is like, did you know that Chile have the world's longest swimming pool? And that's
We
Wow.
all I
do?
know. That's
We
all I
we
know
have to
about.
fact check that. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, no, I can guarantee you that's one thing I remember from school.
Don't believe everything you read online.
No, hang on.
No, it might be true. We are the longest
Like,
country.
Yeah, you definitely look like the swimming pool, the country itself. Oh, okay. So you did have it up
yeah.
until you had it up until. So I learned about that in school. And
Oh,
in 2015, you were overtaken by Egypt. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But
yeah.
yours was 80,000 square meters
Where? In Santiago?
in
Never heard of it.
I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Algarrobo.
Algarrobo.
Oh, yeah.
Like Crystal Lagoons, I think.
Crystal
Yeah,
Lagoons.
so I've seen a photo of it. It like looks like a bunch of hotels along the coast, and it just
Yeah.
like never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there. Didn't know
So
about
yeah,
the.
I did know something about Chile, which that now is not true, but yeah, at the time it was true. But yeah, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you watching the channel and all the support. So thanks very much, and thanks for coming on. It's been a really good chat, and I'll really look forward to meeting you in person in England.
Same.
And
See
for
you
us,
in a couple of weeks.
Right. Enjoy the rest of your
yes,
day.
Thanks.
looking forward.
Right.
Have
Go
a
to
nice
sleep
night.
now.
Right. See you. See you guys.
Bye, Tom.
Bye.